We're going to be talking about Reyes Lopez Tijerina, how his life was, and what led him to lead an organization called Alianza Federal de Mercedes. To start things off, Tijerina was born in Fall City, September 21st, 1926. He was the son of cotton-picking sharecroppers, and he was raised to hate Texas Rangers. So from the start of his life, there was a small seed planted in his mind about the authority. He didn't go into organization right away. He first started as a pastor. After seeing poverty and what happened in the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, he wanted to start helping his community and start organizing. Chicanos were losing their own land to the Congress when that land was promised to them. Who wouldn't want to fight for their land? If it was up to me, I would, and especially to defend my own people. That's just my opinion. But after this problem was happening in the 1960s, he formed the Alianza Federal de Mercedes, which means a federal alliance of Mercedes. He was seen as a supporter to Cesar Chavez. He was also a second option in Cesar Chavez's case. He wanted to keep everything right and calm. What I mean by that is that he was a nonviolent leader. Started first to lead his followers to New Mexico. With his nonviolent movement, he began helping important workers with support. With his nonviolent movement, he began helping immigrant workers with support. He started making a standout. Even though he didn't know much about politics and those things about organizing, and also with very little education, he managed to create and lead an organization. Many strategies were formed to promote his organization. The most effective strategy was the radio station. He thought it was something that would help a lot. In my opinion, he has a point, because to this day, a lot of Latino families listen to the radio in the mornings on their way to work. They also pay close attention to the suggestions the speakers give, and without a doubt, they will try. Everything went as planned for him. He would broadcast every single morning, and it didn't take much time for the word of the organization to get around. Tons and tons of people wanted to join the alliance after hearing all the problems their own people were going through. Tijerina knew that it was a strong weapon to use to gather people, because the authorities kept looking for ways to get rid of the radio because they knew things were going against them. After gaining more followers, he began making more and more movements. For example, he would go around giving speeches to people who didn't know what was going on. After trying to fight for their land through court and using no type of violence, Tijerina decided to change things up for a different result.
I think he started to think correctly, because sometimes not making a violent move but keeping it legal, it will change people's views of you. So when he changed, they started to react differently and engage in confrontations with the authorities.
I think he started to think correctly, because sometimes not making a violent move but keeping it legal, it will change people's views of you. So when he changed, they started to react differently and engage in confrontations with the authorities.
One big example of this was the Tierra Amarilla incident. What happened was the Chicanos went to the courthouse to get the district attorney arrested and on trial.
One big example of this was the Tierra Amarilla incident. What happened was the Chicanos went to the courthouse to get the district attorney arrested and on trial. When they showed up, he wasn't there, so the Chicanos fired shots and wouldn't get out of the courthouse. So the mayor called the National Guard to show up. When they showed up, they took the Chicanos' families as hostages until they would come out of the courthouse. After this passed, the FBI made Tijerina their number one target, and to make sure, they destroyed the organization he made. The organization was also supported by pueblos and mostly every Chicano. The main reason that was causing the Chicanos to go against the law and authorities was because the U.S. raised taxes on the land, so Chicanos wouldn't be able to keep their land. As more and more actions were taken by Tijerina, he became to get targeted by the authorities. As time passed, other activists committed crimes and blamed Tijerina. With this, Tijerina spent more than 2 years in federal prison. He also served 6 months in jail. He lately was becoming a symbol of convicting political crimes. Although some things were turning out bad, not everything was for Tijerina. After all his great and hard work he got done, he was invited to a White House conference in El Paso. Everyone who was invited were leaders that President Lyndon Johnson respected. I would say that this is one reason we know Tijerina made an impact in people's lives. Time passed and Tijerina was getting sick and old. On January 19th, Tijerina died at age 88. He died with heart problems and diabetes. All the Chicanos were thankful for him, and they remember him as someone who changed the Chicanos and their society. This strongly connects to us because we are both from Latinx roots and our families have faced similar situations. We are pleased to talk about Tijeriña and how his life was.